science-fiction adventure across space and time.
This is Penal Planet Terranus 7. We confirm the escape of Secundus.
If he mates, the co-mater will be born.
The boy may be capable of unconsciously computing the anti-life equation. Have you sent a finder after him?
I sent Abraxas.
He's a cub whose beat spans 2 galaxies. Abraxas.
Can Abraxas stop the renegade?
Abraxas can handle it. He's brought Secundus in before.
His presence is causing a problem with the students.
My son is normal.
2 super beings in an all-out fight over 1 small boy and 1 large planet Earth.
You are my son.
Their fight will decide our fate. Abraxas.
Welcome to They Call This a Movie, testing the strength of friendships one terrible movie at a time. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and other podcast services by searching They Call This a Movie, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. Welcome back to They Call This a Movie. This is Anthony Del Vecchio. With me as always is Dan Aquino and Mark Meyer. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, friends.
Hello. I don't know how your TikTok algorithms are going, but mine is showing a lot of that teenage filter thing that's been going around. Of people seeing what they look like as teenagers. And the whole filter is great. It's fine. You know, some of the good emotional stuff. But one of the things that's making me mad was some of the people not really understanding like the filter or, you know, what it was doing, and was getting mad that it wasn't like showing them in their goth phase as a teenager, and like truly going, this app's bullshit. This was me in high school, and shows a photo of them with like a completely different colored hair and makeup. And it just made me realize that for as much as we worry about technology and all that, I don't think a lot of stuff will end up taking over the world just because there's way too many dumb people in this world. That's a little bit of a Mark rant. I don't know if you guys had an opinion on it.
I don't have TikTok.
Okay.
The only thing I know about it is what my wife shares with me, and it's all animal stuff.
Okay.
So it's essentially the animal videos have jumped from one social streaming platform to the other.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like YouTube. Now it's just on TikTok. That's what furthers technology.
Yeah. Yeah. It's essentially it's like they used to say with DVDs and VHS, where, you know, which one porn choose. That's the way the technology went. Now it's dog videos is which streaming platform works. I think we can make that a fact, Dan.
100%. Yeah. That's what's going to drive future technologies. AI is going to just be. It's going to be nothing but dog and cat videos.
Yes, that's it, all the time. You know, and the occasional duck video. I don't know. I've got a few of those.
Yeah, I've thought about getting TikTok.
Yeah,
like I already have enough.
You don't need it.
Bad stuff going on. I spend so much time on Twitter just hating life. Do I need another thing?
TikTok's a little better. If you want to swap the two, you would probably have a better time on TikTok.
Okay.
Just because of what was that?
It's a time suck, though.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. But there's aforementioned pet videos on there, so it's a lot better than the hellscape that Twitter is. Which apparently looks like they're going to start selling coins on Twitter, so that should be awesome.
I just have it. Whatever it is, it's if I get on TikTok and I just start watching animal videos, I'm just gonna. Like Anthony said, it's a time suck.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to find videos that are going to make me cry. And
yeah.
I'll be useless. Even more useless than I am now. So.
Yes, but you wouldn't be giving Elon any money, so.
Yeah, it's inevitable.
Some other billionaires getting your money or getting money from whatever you're doing. So.
Right. Yeah. And there's all the algorithms and stuff. You got to be careful about the algorithms. I'm boring. My life is fucking boring. What do you care what my algorithm is? It's nothing. It's nothing important. You can track me all you want. I go to work, I come home. I go nowhere else.
But then they'll know that's all you do, and that's how they get you.
That's true. Yeah, that's how they know.
Bill Gates putting that chip in your body. I think this is perfect conversation for the star of the movie we watched.
Well, he sounds like a fucking robot, that's for sure.
Sure, he would enjoy this conversation about conspiracy and people. I don't know.
He's buying up all the land. He's buying up all the farmland.
Yeah.
And
now we could just talk about punching out American heroes, and then he'd be set.
Yeah, and Purina's putting something in the chicken feed, and that's why the eggs are getting expensive.
Yeah, that's true. Why do you think there's so many fires, Monsoon? Follow the paper.
Anyway, welcome back to They Called This Movie, and we're talking our February movie of the month. So, if you don't know, every month at the end of every month, we put a poll up on Twitter, and we put 3 movies against each other, and whatever wins, we watch. So this month, our theme was movies less than 90 minutes, because this is February, so it's the shortest month of the year, and we decided to watch a short movie. Although it didn't feel all that short, especially
it didn't feel short at all.
I was gonna say that I picked an 85-minute movie, and it felt like 3 hours.
Yes. I will say that there were commercials probably where you guys watched it as well. I watched it on Freevee through the Amazon Prime app, and there were commercials. So
yeah, Tubi.
Yep, Tubi for me.
So the movies that we had against each other, I picked Heavy Metal 2000. Mark picked
Walking Tall with Dwayne The Rock Johnson,
which I was assuming was going to run away with this poll because Mark likes to game the system by picking the Dwayne The Rock Johnson movie.
The Rock is just box office poison now. I should have known.
Because he's not in a jungle, Mark. That's the problem.
That's true.
And the winner was Dan's pick. So Dan, why don't you introduce this week's movie?
I would be delighted to. So I decided to go with the 1990 smash hit Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. I feel like that's...
I think it's like a hyphen, or like not quite a hyphen.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because the poster just says Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe, but IMDb says Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. So I don't know what to believe here. But from 1990, starring the former governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura. I don't know why I picked it. But
I'm curious. I'm curious of where are you coming from with Abraxas? Where what did you heard of it before going into this, and where are you coming out of it?
So all right, so I've heard about it from other podcasts. I'd never seen it. I've only heard about it. I knew nothing about it going into it. I knew Jesse the Body was in it, but that was it. That's as far as my knowledge went. So this was cold for me, and I was perplexed by how the movie starts, because again, it's the title is Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. He doesn't guard the universe. He guards like a little podunk town on Earth. He doesn't do anything else. We don't see him in space at all. We see him in one room with these 2 geeks, and then he's in the woods for like 80% of the movie.
Who, by the way, had the most obvious twist that should have happened, but did not happen in this movie. That would have made it a little more exciting.
I don't even know what the twist would have been.
The one guy with the weird hair that was on the left all the time being in on the thing with the bad guy.
Secundus?
Yes, Secundus. The one guy who kept not wanting Abraxas to go after him.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what the point. So Jesse the Body Ventura plays Abraxas. He's a cop, a space cop, and
Guardian of the Universe. Dan,
he's a guardian. Well, he's a finder.
A finder.
He's a finder. Whatever the fuck that means. They don't really tell you. And Secundus was an ex-finder, and he went rogue for some unknown reason.
I think he's became obsessed with power and wanted immortality. That's his motivation.
Okay, so, but they're pretty much immortal anyway. Like, at the beginning of the movie, Jesse the Body says, and by the way, I'm just going to keep referring to him as Jesse the Body. I apologize.
That's fine.
He says he's over 10,000 years old.
Yep.
How much more immortal can you be?
Well, in his defense, he is an aging finder, so
Sure.
Maybe he's not going to live to see 20,000.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's when life really starts kicking in for you.
Yeah.
At the 20,000 range. And also, why would you want to work for 10,000 years? So at the beginning, there's this really awkward, plot synopsis. Essentially, Jesse, the body, he's exposition dumping. Like, every 90 years you have to retake your vows as a finder, and I've done it for X amount of time. It was like, that's right, I'm over 10,000 years old. Why would you want to work for that long, man?
Yeah.
Don't you think you should retire after like year 5,000 or something?
Just because of who it was and how distinctive his voice is, I kept wanting him to say, Gorllia Monsoon at some point during that exposition jump.
He said he could say it to Secundus.
Listen here, Secundus.
Let me tell you something, Secundus. Typical boomer mentality by Jesse the Body here. All right, working for 10,000 years. Let a younger finder start working.
Nope, he needs his pension.
That's is ridiculous. I didn't understand. The movie just kind of like jumps into the plot without telling you anything that's going on. Really, Secundus grabs a woman's boob just to make sure she's the birthing part of the species. Did I see that right? The birthing unit. Yeah, he was like, "Are you the birthing unit?" And just like awkwardly pokes her boob.
Grabs tit. Like, mm-hmm.
Yeah. What if it was just like a bigger person? Like just you never know. This movie was again. It was an hour 28, and it felt like I was watching a 3-hour movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, you, Mark, where are you coming from with Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe?
So I obviously had never heard of this movie. When I searched on IMDb and all beforehand, 3 different things popped up. And the only way I knew which one Dan chose was because it had just Jesse the Body Ventura in it. I doubt he picked this weird, obscure, I guess it was a Kung Fu movie that was on there too. But once I got in, I'm like, all right, maybe it's a stupid movie with a wrestler in it. And I wish it was a stupid movie with a wrestler in it. It's just a boring movie. Where my favorite parts of it were the choices in score for some of the scenes. The music choices were ridiculous and it did not match the scene at all, and felt like it was like stuff. It was like the stuff they chose felt like the only things they could afford. If I'm saying that correctly, like stuff that was free or something, and they're like, well, we got these like 6 songs, so let's figure this out.
There's there's smooth jazz playing over a fight.
Exactly.
in the woods.
that might be my favorite one. The in second place is the fight at the end in the warehouse. That music choice was great. But yeah, the weirdness of it felt like it felt like one of those movies that a lot of things get made at this time. We saw a little bit with Out for Justice last week. That if you strip down, some of the ridiculousness in the movie, the core idea of the movie is like, okay, they started with this one specific idea, and like in Out for Justice, it was a cop who used to be friends, grew up with all the criminals in the neighborhood, and one of them goes crazy. Okay, that's like the nugget of that movie. In this, it's like, same thing, like rogue cop, goes and wants to end the universe, whatever the anti-life equation is. I'm assuming that's what it does. And goes to a planet, has to impregnate a certain rate, just like the little nugget. But then they, don't really explain or fill in anything. And some of the explanations are just insane, and things just don't make sense. And it just really feels like they needed a couple more passes at the script to make it even like remotely entertaining. But yeah, it just felt like one of those movies where, Jesse the Body needed some money at the time and decided to, do this movie. Or somebody was the greatest pitchman of all time to get him to sign up for it. I lean to the former, but I just wish there was more fun sci-fi in it than there was. Like the twist I mentioned, having one of the characters sort of end up being with the main villain would have been a fun sci-fi twist. Like, however they would have done it, I didn't really think too deeply on it, and yeah, I just wish it was like, didn't make me like go to my phone, or pick my phone up during the 2B commercial and then just not put it down for like the first 5 minutes when it came back. It was just, that's my one goal with movies that we watch, is I don't want it to get to that point. And unfortunately, this one did that.
Okay. As for me, I knew of this movie, but I didn't really know much about it. It's kind of tertiary kind of idea of this movie. This movie gave me, at certain points, this gave me a very Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 vibe, when he's coming out of the city hall and just shooting everybody and then driving away on a motorbike. Felt very much like the garbage day scene in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2.
I honestly thought that was the same neighborhood.
Maybe.
And it looks just like it.
This was shot in Canada, so it's entirely possible. But I also now know where Rian Johnson stole some plot points for Looper.
Okay.
This kid gave me very big Looper vibes.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
And the whole kind of story of protecting the kid and the mom and fucking the mom on the side. Kind of, he's just cribbed shit from Abraxas.
No one will notice. No one will know.
No one's seen this movie. I love the fact that Jim Belushi shows up out of nowhere only because his wife is Sonia.
Right? Yeah.
And this movie is not very good, though.
And don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. Like, I don't need more. Like, there's too much. You guys are saying they're not explaining enough. They're explaining too much as far as I'm concerned. There's too much exposition dump. And maybe I just don't. I don't know. Maybe it's that, not that they're explaining too much. They're just explaining too much in a very boring manner.
Yeah, I think
they're allowing they're allowing voiceover to do a lot of the heavy lifting for the world building. And that's probably where I feel like they're explaining too much when they're not showing enough. But obviously this is, I couldn't find budget number on this, but it's probably barely $1 million. I am super surprised that a guy that is 3 years out of Predator would star in a movie that is so low budget. Like, it looks like a TV movie, but a VHS recorded off TV version of that movie.
Yeah.
It's bad quality. Terrible
Super
quality.
Bad quality.
I agree. Yeah, he was in a couple big movies, Jesse the Body.
Yeah. And the audacity for the trivia of this movie to start off with Arnold Schwarzenegger was offered this role, but turned it down and opted to do Terminator 2. As if it was like 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. It's like, oh, he was so close.
Yeah, it wasn't like Eddie Murphy in Ghostbusters.
Right.
It's like, do I star in a sequel for a movie I've already done, directed by James Cameron, or do I go to Canada and shoot this movie that cribs a lot from the first movie I started? Decisions.
Yeah, tough decision for sure.
I love I was sitting here thinking how we say there's not enough explanation. You said there's too much. I think we're coming sort of from the same area. And the way I think about it is that they say a lot, but they don't explain a lot. If you know what I'm saying, like they dump a lot of lore and things on you, but don't really like explain what it all means.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we're sort of saying the same thing. It's like, I wish they would have, if they're going to do this much, at least, give us information if you're gonna do this much exposition and not just feel like you're reading from the the Bible of the movie. Sort of, it's just and as you mentioned with casting it, I can't imagine anybody reading this script and going, oh yeah, this is my first choice for my next movie, and not, I've been turned down for roles and I need money. Where does Jesse the Body sign?
Arnold read the script and he got to the part where it says my box has VD, and that's where he bailed. Like, oh, I'm out. I'm not reading that line.
Yeah. It stinks of a movie that has loftier goals than the budget allows. You know, a lot, and I think there's a lot of these movies that came out during this time, like this direct-to-video action movies, where they call themselves a sci-fi movie with very minimal sci-fi in it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the budget to do it. So what you get is basically you get people stomping around woods and warehouses.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of.
Because you don't have to pay.
Universe.
Yeah. You don't have to pay to shoot in the woods. That's for free.
Exactly.
The first half of the first third of this movie is in the woods.
Yeah.
So they realize, like you said, they have no budget. So they got one room for those two the two space dispatchers, I guess they are. I don't know what their official titles were. Mm-hmm. But there's this one room it looks like a reused Roger Corman set, essentially. Yeah. And you got some moody lighting there, so that probably costs very little, probably like a couple thousand. Then you got the woods. You got a couple other settings. There's really no set pieces in this movie other than the warehouse. Mm-hmm. So, what would you say? Like $500,000, maybe $800,000, close to $1 million.
I'd say it's over $1 million, but not much more. Like I would say, we're probably topping out at like $2 million here.
Okay, yeah, it's this movie was. I was not expecting a good movie, obviously, but I was expecting at least a competent movie.
Yeah,
it's not competent whatsoever, but. And then you see Jim Belushi and you think, oh, okay, there's gonna be some validity here.
And his scene is complete trash.
Oh, it's fucking terrible. But it made me laugh out loud because I guessed the line, or the like the mother is talking. Jim Belushi's telling the mother, oh, the kids are a little freaked out by your son. They make fun of him. They pick on him all day. And the mom goes, have you tried telling the kids not to pick on my son? And I said out loud, no. And his fucking line was, no, I didn't think of that. How is that possible? Was that supposed to be funny?
Do you think he ad-libbed his part? Like, do you think
it's played for a laugh, right? But it's not funny. It's not a funny scene.
No. It's not a particularly funny movie either.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Jesse the Body, he tries to have some funny scenes with like the voice box. Like he tries to do some like witty banter with the voice box. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, that trope where the AI is picking up, oh, you like this girl. Your heart fluctuations have increased. I think the box even says something about her getting moist.
Something like that. Yeah. I didn't catch exactly what it said.
I got to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure it's like, oh, there's extreme moisture, but like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's disgusting. Why would it say that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they meant like the mouth or
other
mouth.
Her other mouth. Yeah, either way, it's gross. There was the scene, and this made no sense to me. The scene where after Secundus impregnates Sonia. And she goes through the rapid childbirth, right? It takes, what do they say? It takes like 15 minutes from when he touches her to birth. So then she goes home with the baby, and the parents are like, "Who's the father? Whose baby is that?" Like, oh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Like, wait a minute. She left your house not pregnant, and she came back with a baby. Do you not at least question what's going on there? Do you automatically go to that? Like, that's terror. You're a whore. Get out of my house.
Right. Apparently.
I don't know. Yeah, those are the stupidest parents ever.
She just hit it really well.
Yeah, that's what it was. She's. I mean, I'm kind of going back on my joke here, but I've heard of stories like that, right, where they don't know they're pregnant until the very end. But come on, how do you not realize that as the parents? I'm sure you would have figured that out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if their daughter isn't offering up the explanation of aliens, then why would you immediately go to aliens? Well, she went out with no baby, she came back with a baby, must be aliens.
It must be aliens. Would you believe your daughter if that happened?
Aliens.
If she told me aliens impregnated her and she has a
Yeah.
baby to show for it, absolutely not.
Okay. It's got to be drugs, right? Like, what drugs are you on?
Whose baby did you steal? You have to give that back.
Yeah.
That would be my reaction.
Oh yeah, and this was in 1990. This came out, right? So 1990. It would definitely have that line where the parents are asking, "What kind of drugs are you on?"
Mm-hmm.
So I'm surprised that wasn't asked. They just immediately went to, "You're like, I want you out of this house. Get out of here," because she's unclean, I guess.
She should have asked her, "Papa, don't preach."
Yeah, there you go. It tries to do a lot, but fails spectacularly.
Most certainly.
In so many ways. I'm going through my notes. They have the two cops who are useless.
Yeah.
And they
have
keep
no
cutting.
point.
No point. One of them has a fucking Uzi.
Just pulls it out of his jacket.
Oh yeah, your standard issue Uzi that the department gives you. Right? Because they have their regular pistols, right? They're semi-automatic pistols. So they're shooting Secundus and it's doing nothing. So the one cop goes, "Yeah, how about getting a load of this?" And just like whips out the Uzi. Like, why not just whip out a shotgun? Cops actually have shotguns.
I mean, they do come into play at the end.
Shotguns do?
I mean, they don't really come into play, but they do exist.
They do. But I don't know why the Uzi. That's such a weird choice. Is that just what they had lying around the set that day?
They had access to an Uzi.
Yeah. Like, oh, look what I found, an Uzi. Use it.
So, Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe from 1990 is directed by Damian Lee, who didn't direct many things that we've heard of. He did direct Ski School, and he started off directing a couple of pornos from the 70s. But stars Jesse Ventura, Sven Ole Thorson, Damian Lee, Marjorie Bransfield, Ken Quinn, Jim Blackwood, Michael Copeman, Zion Forrest Lee, and a cameo by Jim Belushi. IMDb score of 2.9. A Rotten Tomatoes score, no reviews from critics, but there is a 19% audience score. And I could not find budget numbers. You guys want to get into the plot?
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
All right, Daniel, what do you got for us?
All right, guys. Just want to give a quick shout out to a good friend of ours. We've had her on the podcast several times. Tia from Geek Vibes Nation. She has her very own podcast that she does with her friend Brittany. It's called The Top 10 with Tia. It's on YouTube and the aforementioned Geek Vibes Nation. So go to geekvibesnation.com, search Top 10 with Tia. You could also do that on YouTube. That'll pop right up. So go smash that like button, subscribe, and all those things, and enjoy.
Okay, great. And we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to listen to messages from friends of the podcast. So we will be right back.
Hey, this is Ken M.
And Padawan J.
from the ODPH podcast.
Each week, we talk a parlay of topics.
That's right. Whether it's sports, pro wrestling, movies, TV, comics, and more, we've got a take on it.
And don't forget odphpodcast.com for links for Patreon, TeePublic, and the Parlay Points blogs, and much more.
Thanks for listening to the ODPH podcast. Now back to your regularly scheduled show.
You know I don't know I was so damn hard to say.
Welcome, travelers. Seems like you're looking for a story. Well, I got one for you. It involves adventure, friendship, and all sorts of...
Earl, why don't you tell him about that time I stole that big-ass melon?
Yeah, I was going for more...
Or you could tell him about the time I kicked her ass, Earl.
I wouldn't ever tell them.
Do I need to get my ref gear on?
Okay, everyone, shut up. Now come with me as I tell you a story from afar. Hey everybody, my name's David. I'm the DM for From Afar Podcast. A From Afar Podcast is all about four friends separated by distance, but brought together by adventure. Hope you all stop by and give us a listen. Thanks.
And welcome back. And now it's time to get into the plot for Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. We open on Jesse the Body Ventura talking about the process of being balded, which doesn't sound very pleasant, but also it never really comes back again. So I don't understand what the process is, but That's how we open.
Yeah, this was a perfect example of saying a lot but explaining thing.
Yeah. And then we see him getting interrogated by some sort of computer voice as he gets balded, I suppose. I don't even know if this is the actual word, but that's what came up on the closed
Captions.
captioning.
Yeah.
I thought it was bonded.
And then all of a sudden I thought it might have been vaulted. I don't know.
Maybe vaulted. Yeah, because it's like they're doing something to his bones.
Yeah.
I guess they're
Reinforcing it.
Yeah, like Wolverine kind of thing, right?
It could be vaulted as in, VOLT, because they talk about energy later in the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Needing the power back up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. Secundus needs to recharge.
He needs to recharge his answer box.
His answer box. Oh my god. I forgot that was an actual terminology in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
That feels like they didn't have a name for it yet, and then it was like a day before shooting. You're like, fuck it, we'll just leave it answer box. I don't know.
But then they have this other ridiculous word for the kid. What is it?
Colmater.
Colmater. So you could come up with that, but you can't come up with something better than answer box.
Yeah, I know. It just sometimes you get writer's block, Dan. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I guess.
So Jesse the Ventura tells the voice that he's on Earth. He's on Earth to try and apprehend a renegade. The renegade is his former partner, another finder that went over the top.
Yeah,
a couple of people hanging out.
Backwards.
A couple of people hanging out in some control room talk about the renegade Secundus. Apparently, he's had his DNA re-engineered, and he's in the Yellow Star system. If he mates, the Culminator will be born. So they sent Abraxas to find him. But one of the guys says they shouldn't have sent Abraxas because he and Secundus were partners. Meanwhile, in a snowy forest, Abraxas exchanges fire with Secundus with some weird laser guns. And after a couple of stops, they stop at the car in the middle of the road in the woods. The girl's upset that the guy's always trying to have sex with her. And then Secundus shows up and throws the guy out of the car and gets in the front seat. He then asks if the girl is a birthing member of the human species. Then he grabs Tit and starts to drive away, telling her he needs her body.
This is it's a nice little running theme with Secundus in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He steals so many cars. I think he steals 4 cars in this movie.
Steals cars and then immediately hits somebody with it.
Yeah, it's great. He has 3 modes. It's punching, running, and stealing cars. Those are his modes.
He's a GTA character come to life.
That's exactly what he is.
Abraxas then comes up out of nowhere and gets in the way of Secundus driving the car. Secundus hits him with the car, crashes the car into an embankment, gives the girl a chance to run, but she's only able to get as far as a river before Secundus catches up to her and tells her that he really needs her body. Then touches her stomach with a glowing hand, and we hear that fertilization has commenced. Abraxas then catches up to Secundus, who says he has already accomplished his mission. The child will be a culmator and will be able to compute the anti-life equation. And if Abraxas wants to stop Secundus, he would just have to kill the girl. Secundus is then sent to a penal colony on another planet, and Abraxas is told that he must destroy the girls to stop Secundus's plan. So he goes to find the woman, and it turns out she's going to give birth to this child, immediately. So she starts going into labor, essentially, but Abraxas chooses not to eliminate them, and he walks off. As the sun rises, the woman stomps through the snow and heads to a farmhouse that she sees in the distance. But before she gets there, she walks up to a railroad bridge and thinks about tossing the kid in the water for a second, and continues walking.
It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if that kid's only several hours, she could technically have that aborted, right?
I think it's a little too late at this point.
Right, but what's even the strictest abortion laws? It's that kid she's only 6 hours pregnant, so
at the most.
Yeah.
Sony is the name of the girl, and she goes to her parents' house with a brand new baby, and they want to help her, but she won't tell them who the father is, so her dad kicks her out. She then goes to Social Security office or something to register the child, because we're all worried about the bureaucracy about having a secret alien baby. Just want to make sure that we knew that she registered him.
Yeah, gotta make sure she's the baby's ready and in line to be able to retire with Social Security. It's a fantasy movie, and
yeah, be a soldier, be a dead soldier in 20 years.
Yeah, there you go.
We then fast forward 5 years. As Sonia raised Thomas, the baby, as a perfectly normal child. But in voiceover, she said that she's worried that something is going to take him away from her. She's also mentioned that she's never told Thomas about the truth about his birth. Back with the aliens, Abraxas, Secundus has escaped from his penal colony planet, and they believe that he will be on his way to Earth to get the anti-life equation from the child. The other aliens are mad that Abraxas didn't kill the child when he had the chance. Abraxas says they should have killed Secundus when they had the chance. They then tell him that to find the child and kill him before Secundus could get to the child. They send Abraxas out on a warp hole, but something goes wrong and he winds up getting warped without his weapons.
Who
Nonsense.
cares? Yeah. Who cares? What is the point of that?
Yeah. And Sonia, meanwhile, has to go to Tommy's school to talk with the principal, played by Jim Belushi, only because these two are married. Tommy is acting up in school because he scares the other kids. More specifically, all the kids are actually picking on Tommy. So the mom tells Principal Jim Belushi to tell the kids to stop it, which for some reason he's never tried before.
It blew my mind. Blew my mind.
Do you think that his entire performance was he was made to do this by? You mentioned that Sonia, the actress playing it, was his wife, and she's like, "They need this role. Can you just come do it? Fine, but I'm not going to take it seriously."
Oh, it basically says in the trivia that it only makes a cameo as a favor to his wife.
Okay.
Yeah, he definitely seems like the type of guy who would be very spiteful with something he didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this. I'm just going to play it terribly because I don't want to be here.
Feels like the main character from According to Jim would do.
Yep. Oh, 100%. He lets out a scream at the mother. Like, oh, have you tried yelling at your kid? Sometimes that elicits a response, and he just lets out a blood-curdling scream. And again, I think he was trying to play this scene for laughs.
Yeah.
Or he was trying some new material for his Tight 5 that he's going to go on stage soon.
That's true.
She is basically in every single Jim Belushi movie for a span of 5 years.
How long were they married for? 5 years?
2 years.
2 years, huh?
Yeah, but she's about last night, the birthday boy, Red Heat, K9, Homer and Eddie, Taking Care of Business, Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe.
What do you think? What would you rather do? Would you rather star in Abraxas, Guardian of the Galaxy, or be married to Jim Belushi?
And she didn't get to choose. She had to do both, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which I'd rather do.
Yeah, I don't know. She didn't just stop. She stopped. She had one credit in 1996, and that was it.
At least, I guess, if you're married to Jim Belushi, you might hear some stories about his brother. So maybe that's the good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But she seemed like she got some work because of him.
Yeah. So I can't say it's a win-win scenario here because really nothing came of any of it.
Yeah, no. I'm just she for a 5-year span, she has no credit that doesn't have Jim Belushi in it, which is interesting.
Was she in Jingle All the Way?
They didn't make it that far.
Oh, okay. Yeah, when did that come out? 97, 96?
96, I think. And they were divorced by 92.
Okay. Oh yeah, 2 years. Yeah. Should have held out. Could have been in the Santa scene.
Yeah.
With the Big Show. Another wrestler.
Yep. Then cut to the woods as Secundus runs from Abraxas, both of them wearing jumpsuits. Abraxas eventually catches up to Secundus and they roll around in the woods for a while fighting. But then Secundus manages to get away, and then chase continues till they fight again. Secundus tosses Abraxas down a hill. Secundus comes upon a family of yuppies that are camping. First, Secundus tries to use his arm communicator, or what do they call it? The answer box to start the car, but he doesn't have enough charge. So then he intimidates the dad to give him the keys, but the dad tosses his keys in the fire. And Secundus forces the kid to fish the keys out with a stick. Secundus drives away, and then Abraxas jumps on the windshield as Secundus tries to drive away, running over Abraxas once again. Back in town, Sonia is working at a store as a local cop chats her up awkwardly. He doesn't work up the courage to ask her out, and then a delivery guy comes in, and the cop leaves flustered. Abraxas, meanwhile, stops the same yuppie family that are driving away in a camper and asks for a ride. When he gets in, he says he's a local cop, but they say he doesn't look very local based on his clothes, so he asks them for more local clothes. Secundus is on a mission to chart his wrist answer box, and he gives a voiceover talking about the anti-life equation, saying that it could make him a god. This is also very weird to me that they had 3 different characters doing voiceovers in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know why you have Secundus doing a voiceover.
Yeah,
How
they're
often
trying
do you
to
get the villain to do it?
because they're trying to explain his motivation without being competent enough to not have a voiceover crutch. Basically,
Yeah, like, can you imagine Hans Gruber having a voiceover?
Right.
Or like Darth Vader having a voiceover.
They're trying to humanize him, guys. That's what the voiceover's for.
But you don't need. He's not a human. They're literally aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's a rogue finder.
A rogue finder. Yeah, I don't even. You got to stick with one. You can't have multiple voiceovers.
Yeah. No, you do Abraxas or you do Sonya. You don't do both.
Yeah. And to me, you stick with Abraxas. He's the main hero of the movie. He's the one.
I think.
Would you go with Sonya?
I would say. I think this movie from Sonya's perspective might be more interesting.
Interesting. Okay. So why? Because of having the kid.
You've been impregnated by an alien spaceman, right?
Yep.
Was she maybe 19 or so at the time? Young enough to live at home?
Yeah.
And then she has to raise this kid on her own for 5 years. And all of a sudden this alien spaceman comes back. She's like she's a Sarah Connor of this story.
I was just thinking you're right, because in Terminator and Terminator 2, everything's told from the point of view of Sarah Connor, like she has the voiceover. So it was better than having John Connor or Kyle Reese have the voiceover.
Yeah, because I mean, not unlike Terminator 2, which comes out a year later, it's the storyline of Abraxas is him learning what it is to be human, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So his from a first person perspective story, that's not very interesting, but from a third person perspective, looking outside in on that is more interesting, I think.
Yeah. I was hoping that this would take, because there's definitely Terminator vibes from this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that it would take the same path where less was more. You don't need too many people in Terminator. How many people are there? There's two main roles where we said Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese. You have the Terminator, and that's it. You don't really have many other speaking roles in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But here they felt like they needed to add the two space. I don't even know what they would be classified as.
I don't know, desk jockeys.
Yeah, so you have those two guys. You have Secundus, Abraxas, Sonya. You have the two cops. It's too much. It's too muddled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this would have been more interesting as a road movie. Like they go on the run, and it's just a constant. Like Secundus is always just behind them, just one step behind.
Right. Imagine if this happens. The beginning is almost the same, right? Secundus impregnates Sonya, and they're telling Abraxas, the desk jockeys are telling Abraxas, you have to kill Sonya, because then the kid's gonna be the Antichrist, essentially. And he feels pity for her, but he tells her, in 5 years, I will return. He's gonna help her, because that's when Secundus is gonna come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now he comes back, and he's, like you said, they're on the run. And Secundus is behind them.
Yep.
I think that makes for a more dramatic movie.
Yep. I think so. I think it's more interesting. He stumbles into some guy's garage, charges his wristblock, so Secundus grabs him by the head to see if he has an anti-life equation. He doesn't, so he just winds up killing him with electricity powers. Meanwhile, Abraxas gets some new clothes from the family and then just books it down the main street of the town, which I found hilarious.
In his Gold's Gym? Or is it World's Gym?
World's Gym, but it's just from a wide shot, he just gets off the camper and then immediately runs away from the camera.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's filmmaking 101, right? Always have the action going away from the camera.
Almost like it wasn't Jesse Ventura, it was a stand-in and they didn't have him on set that day.
Yeah,
to make sure you couldn't tell that they did the bald cap or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesse the Body has a rat tail in this movie.
Yep. Of course he
does.
does.
A mustache.
And yeah, that was in the trivia. Jesse Ventura shaved his mustache for this role. Like he was joining the fucking Yankees. He got rid of his facial hair.
Yeah, he could have been Abraxas with facial hair.
Right, like is that supposed to be a big character trait? There's no facial hair, but Secundus has a beard.
It's true.
So what's
That makes
rogue,
him,
though.
yeah, that makes him the bad alien.
Yeah, they took a page from Star Trek, right? Evil Spock.
At the same time, the cop and the sheriff are talking about how there's a difference between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. This young cop by the name of Jack or John, I think, is new in town and feels he has something to prove, so he hassles farmers over registration of their tractors, while the sheriff says there's no bad guys in town, so he should just lighten up. As he says this, Secundus is tearing apart City Hall, killing anyone who gets in his way, and uses their computers to find the whereabouts of the kid and his mom. As he's finding their address, a woman comes in and starts yelling at him, thinking he works there. She's demanding him to help her get her electricity back on. So he grabs her by the head and gets ready to crush her skull when Abraxas walks in with the cops to close behind. Secundus then tells... Okay.
At this point, if you're the cops, I think you're going to get to exactly what happens in this. But I don't think they explicitly say this, but wouldn't you think that like Abraxas is working with this guy? With what he's going to say in the scene here? Like, why do they even like trust him? I don't know.
They do try and they jump Abraxas after Secundus leaves,
and he just tosses them aside.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I missed that, but
in the scene, Secundus has the woman hostage, and he tells them, "If you follow me, she dies." And what do they do immediately? Follow him.
Well, I don't know how much Abraxas. I guess it's a contradiction. I was going to say that, I don't know how much he cares about, that girl's life. He's just worried about stopping Abraxas from like killing the universe or whatever.
Well, he mentions that he doesn't want to spare, or he wants to spare innocent people.
No, that's what I mean. Like it's a contradiction in my head what I was thinking, because if he didn't care, that's why he followed immediately. Because like my one objective, my one thing is to kill. Directive is I got to get rid of, that guy and not worry about any collateral damage. But then he also says all the stuff about taking innocent lives. So I don't know. Again, poorly planned out.
Not this movie.
Nope. Or maybe he's just calling his bluff.
It's possible.
Secundus tells them all to stay away or he's going to crush the woman's skull. He forcefully grabs one of the guns from the young cop and then makes the sheriff hand over his gun and then walks out of City Hall. And the scene immediately becomes chaos, reminiscent of the garbage day scene from Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. Secundus pushes some people over, shoots an old guy in the leg. Eventually pulls a guy right off a motorbike and then rides away on it. And then
for some reason, there's two motorbikes that come out of nowhere.
And then Abraxas pursues on foot. Back at the school, Tommy and another kid are getting bullied by a bigger kid over the use of the slide on the playground. So Tommy makes the bully piss himself. The bully then tries to get revenge at the bathroom, but Tommy uses his force powers to push the kid into a stall. Sonia comes home to a babysitter, Betty, looking after Tommy and her son. Sonia and Tommy decide to go to the movies, and Betty and her son stick around to watch their TV because the TV at home is broken. Sonia and Tommy leave, and when they're gone, Secundus breaks into the house and grabs the kid by the head. Computer says that the kid does not have the anti-life equation, but he demands it runs the test. But then Abraxas jumps through the window, and Betty and her son manage to get away. Abraxas and Secundus scuffle, and then Secundus stabs Abraxas through and then leaves. Sonia and Tommy come back to their house in disarray and find Abraxas bleeding in the corner of the living room. Abraxas' answer box heals his wounds, and he tells Sonia that they need to leave, but Sonia is more interested in telling Abraxas that her life has been hell since that night 5 years ago when she almost thought she was crazy. He tells her they need to leave, and she says she doesn't trust him, but he says if he wanted to kill her, he could have done it 5 years ago. Secundus is now back at the main street trying to break into one of the storefronts when a guy yells at him and tells him it's closed. So Secundus tells him he's looking for a woman, so the guy thinks he means he's looking for a strip club. So then Secundus steals the guy's car and runs him over, making the third time Secundus has hit someone with a car.
I feel in this scene that when he's talking to the guy that confused him for the strip club, I think it's like he messed up the line in the take because I'm looking for a man, a woman. I mean, and it's like that's the best one we got. Let's move on.
He's trying to understand our Earth language.
Yeah.
Abraxas and Sonia are now on their way to her friend Maxie's while Tommy sleeps in the back seat, and Abraxas' answer box reminds him that he's supposed to kill Tommy, and he tries to shut it up without Sonia hearing it.
He has a line in that scene where he says that Tommy has entered a state of with restful animation or something like that.
Like unconscious restfulness or something.
Yeah, an unconscious state of rest. And Sonya goes, "No, he's just taking a nap." It's the same thing. That's exactly what taking a nap is, or sleeping. You're unconscious.
Right, but that's a weird thing to say.
Oh yeah, 100%. And is that trying like, oh, I'm teaching? Is this a teaching moment, or is it just she doesn't get it?
Right. And now the cops are interviewing Tommy's friend and taking his statement regarding what happened. Abraxas and Sonya make it to her friend's house, and Sonya puts Tommy to bed. When she leaves, Tommy immediately gets up and goes to find Abraxas. And Abraxas tells him a story about him and Secundus. Cops are at a convenience store talking about what the kid told them, and the young cop thinks it's the guy from town hall. But the sheriff says he's not convinced for no real reason. They saw what that guy could do, so he shouldn't be skeptical. When Sonya chases Tommy back to bed after Abraxas tells the story, and her and Abraxas have a conversation about her not marrying after Tommy's birth, and that Abraxas could not marry in his position. Then she goes off to take a shower. Secundus winds up a strip club and gets into a fight with all the other patrons when he tries to touch one of the dancers. He beats up all the other guys and then approaches the dancer and then realizes it's not Sonya, and then he leaves. Abraxas has a fight with his answer box, telling his box that it shouldn't speak unless he speaks to it first. Then goes into the bathroom and catches Sonya coming out of the shower. And he likes what he sees, which his answer box says out loud. Later, Sonya brings him some clothes and she asks him why he didn't kill her. He says that she was innocent and he couldn't kill an innocent. Then the cops are driving and the young cop says he thinks the Secundus is not of this world based on the DNA findings at the scene. And Secundus at this moment is at a diner having breakfast. Cops head over to the house and Abraxas hides, while Sonya and Maxie blow them off, not telling them anything. They leave and Sonya starts to get nervous that she and Tommy are in danger, but Abraxas tells her that he will protect them. So Sonya kisses him and he likes it. His answer box once again says it out loud for all to hear. And the answer box says that Tommy has left the house. And they find a note that says he ran away because he doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. At the diner, Secundus finishes his breakfast and he sees a school bus go down the street, so he goes out to follow it to the school. The cops see Secundus walking down the street, so they spin the car into an embankment and get out of the car to apprehend him. When he advances on them, John, the young cop, pulls out an Uzi and shoots Secundus so much that he actually does fall to the ground looking like he's dead. But when they approach him, he wakes up and tosses John into a car, then picks up the Uzi and starts shooting all over Main Street, randomly blowing some shit up. And then he proceeds to school by stealing the cop car. Stealing another car.
He's really good at it.
Yeah.
For
I
an
guess
alien.
the answer box. I guess it's the answer box, right?
Is that it? The answer box tells him how to do it?
Or it just like starts the car for him.
Okay. Yeah, because at the very beginning, when Secundus is first shows up and Sonya and her boyfriend, I guess, he's trying to get away, the car won't start. But as soon as he punches the window and pulls out the dummy, he starts the car immediately.
You don't even know that man.
I was like, it's so clearly a dummy. Pulls it out with ease. But yeah, he gets in the car and starts it up real quick.
Yeah.
And then just immediately hits Jesse the body and crashes it. He's good at stealing, not so much at driving it.
Yeah. Tommy continues running away and winds up in a barn, but he's found by his mother and Abraxas. Abraxas says he wants to talk to Tommy alone and says he'll ride back to Maxie's house with Tommy. Secundus winds up in the school and then goes into one of the classrooms and tells the teacher that he wants him to bring the coal mater to him or he's going to start killing all the kids one at a time. Then tosses the teacher out of the classroom. Meanwhile, Abraxas and Tommy ride in the car, and Abraxas talks about he knows that Tommy is scared about his power, but he says he's a good person and he'll learn how to control it. They drive to town and are stopped by the police line after the explosions, but Abraxas says he knows where to find Secundus. They go to the school, and Secundus is having a standoff with the police, demanding the coal mater. Tommy runs into the school. He makes it to Secundus, who says he is his son, and he has been made for this moment. And Abraxas comes in and starts beating up Secundus, and Tommy runs. So Secundus beats Abraxas with a radiator and follows after Tommy, catches up with him, and brings him to some sort of abandoned warehouse demanding the anti-life equation. Tommy starts setting fires with his mind as Secundus stalks him. Eventually, Abraxas shows up, and he and Secundus once again fight in slow motion until Tommy starts explosions that cause them both to fly out the window. Abraxas is able to climb back in, and Sonya comes in to calm Tommy down. Then they go to leave, but Secundus pops up and gets between Abraxas and Tommy and Sonya. The cops show up and distract Secundus enough to give Abraxas the upper hand. Then they fight, and then Abraxas uses the answer box to check Secundus for the anti-life equation, which basically causes Secundus to explode with the electricity. The day is saved, the rest of the cops show up, And Abraxas negotiates an early retirement with his superiors as he decides to stay on Earth looking after Tommy and probably impregnating Sonia with more telekinetic children. And that is the end of Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe. What a wild movie.
Early retirement.
I'm just so glad that if one thing this movie did was teach children and all out there where babies come from. You touch the mother on the stomach, and then 15 minutes later, you have a baby brother. That's how this works.
Mark, if you could think of a better way to impregnate someone, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, I mean that's how I was taught.
Oh, there you go.
I
explain so much.
This movie had a lot going against it. It's very dark. Like, not the tone, the actual lighting is incredibly dark.
Oh yeah, I mean, I give them credit for trying to shoot in the dark and shooting like night shots without doing like day for night shoots.
Yeah.
But I can't tell what the fuck is going on.
No, yeah, at night you're looking at shapes essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You had that was an issue. Mark, you mentioned the score.
Yeah.
Which isn't really a score. It's just what, like you said, whatever music they could get at the time
for free.
And it doesn't sync up with what is happening in the movie. There's soft music playing during action scenes, and then fast-paced music played during softer scenes. Pepsi. There's a lot of Pepsi in this movie.
There's a lot of Pepsi.
There's one scene the cops are in a deli, and they walk by, like, it's nothing but Pepsi products on the shelf. While they're walking and talking, it's just Pepsi, Pepsi, Pepsi. Here's more Pepsi. There's 7-Up. That's a Pepsi product.
Mm-hmm.
The cops are useless. I wrote down I have no clue what's happening a lot. Yeah, I don't know. This movie was just, it was a headache to get through. Definitely a slog.
Yeah, most assuredly. All right, but that is Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe, and we have one more segment coming up. But before that, we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to list some ads so we can pay those bills, and we will be right back. And welcome back. Now it's time for our last segment of the night, and this one we're going to call 3 movies. I think I have 9 wrestlers. I'm going to have 3 movies that each of them have been in.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with the more difficult to one that'll probably give it away. So I have 3 movies for each, and you guys just got to guess.
All right, I'm excited. And then I'm sure we'll do the sequel, 3 movies kick back at some point.
Is that a 3 Ninjas joke?
Yes, a 3 Ninjas joke.
All right, here we go. First one. The first movie is First Daughter. Classic. What?
That's the Katie Holmes movie.
Classic Katie Holmes vehicle.
So how are we doing this? So, like, Mark will guess, then I'll guess, and whoever's right will.
Yeah, sure, we can do that.
Okay.
Or how we do a point system? If you can guess it on the first movie, you get 3 points. You guess it on the second, you get 2. If you guess it on the first one, you get 1 point. First Daughter.
All right, so if you want to go first, Mark, because
yeah, we have to guess the wrestler, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
God, I've seen this movie more than once, which shouldn't shock Anthony. Oh God. Trying to think who would have been at the time. I don't know. I'm gonna say a weird one was yeah. I'm probably gonna get it wrong. You know, this doesn't feel like something that like this. Stone Cold wasn't in this. No.
5 seconds.
Yeah, I said Stone Cold. I'm like,
okay.
Yeah, but it's wrong.
Not it.
No.
Dan, do you have a guess?
So this sounds like is it early 2000s, this movie? Mid 2000s?
04.
Yeah.
That's why it's frustrating to me.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock.
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Next one, I guess, Dan, you'll get first crack at this.
Okay.
Hood of Horror. So this is same wrestler. And we've covered this movie.
We did Hood of Horror?
Oh, in the Wayback Machine. In the old show.
Yeah, we did that.
Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, to be exact.
Hood of Horror.
With Keith David? Is Keith David in that?
He is, but he's not a wrestler.
Yeah, he could be. Jeez Louise. Trying to... God, I don't know. Fatu?
Nope.
I am at a loss here, folks.
All right, Mark, you got a guess?
Yeah, it's not. God, I just had it in my head. It's not Sting, right? No.
It is not Sting.
That's a good guess.
All right. Come back to Mark. Mark, your third movie is The Devil's Rejects.
And not the same wrestler, right? Or is it the same
It is the same wrestler.
Same
These
guy.
are all the same wrestler.
So
This
The
is your
Devil's
last-
Rejects. Oh no, that's a different horror movie. I'm just gonna go because of the type of movie it is. The Undertaker.
It is not The Undertaker. Dan, do you have a guess?
Hey,
for
can
Devil's
I
Rejects?
can I ask? Is it a male or female?
I will get. So I will say all of these are men moving
Okay.
forward.
Okay.
Oh, that makes
Because I didn't want to answer that, but because Mark just gave his third
Yeah,
guess,
he
then
just
didn't
gave his
get to
guess,
cheat.
yeah.
So I just gave it all of you. All of these are male wrestlers. So
Okay.
Oh
it helps you all
goodness.
out.
Devil's Rejects.
Rob Zombie film
Yep. Yeah, I've seen that movie plenty of times too.
starring Williams Forsythe from the previously watched Out for Justice.
He was great in it too.
Yep.
I think he was probably the best part of those movies. Lord. Kane?
Nope. The
No,
answer.
he's in See No Evil.
Yep. The answer is Diamond Dallas Page.
Diamond Dallas Page. My goodness. I was thinking purely WWE. Terrible. No points.
All right. No points. All right. Next one. Dan, you go first this time.
Okay.
And the first movie is Knucklehead.
Oh, I think.
Knucklehead. I've never even heard of this movie.
That's why it's the first movie off.
Dear
the...
Lord. What is going on here? Knucklehead. All right. So it's not The Rock. I think I would have known that's a movie he would have been in. That doesn't sound like something Stone Cold would be in. I'm going to go obscure here. Was it X-Pac?
It is not X-Pac.
Mark.
Mark.
Bitch.
The Big Show?
It is The Big Show.
Yeah. I thought I saw this movie.
You've seen this movie, Mark?
Yes, I have.
The fuck?
I want to say, to be honest, I'd have to look back at my list.
I think you've seen this before.
I think I did it for when I was doing all those movies once every day. I did a Wrestlers Week, and I think this was one of the movies.
God.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, I was watching one Netflix movie a day for an old blog post I used to do, and I did Wrestler Week, and I think this was one of the movies.
Is it worth watching?
It's fine. I mean, he's good. He's a good comedic actor.
Okay.
Sounds like I trust you.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, they're not winning Academy Awards or even it's better than, I would put it in the high end of wrestler movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Now I'm a little bit more intrigued.
All right. Next one. Mark, you get to go first on this one.
Okay.
First movie is Looney Tunes Back in Action.
That's the Jason Segel movie?
You're thinking of the Muppets.
I'm thinking of Muppets. Brendan Fraser?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Brendan Fraser is not a wrestler.
No, I know. I'm just trying to narrow the movie down in my time period. For Looney Tunes Back in Action, Goofy. Yeah, not as confident in this one, but is
5 seconds.
Okay. This isn't Sting, right?
Nope, it's not Sting. I'm giving you guys just so you guys know. I'm giving
Sorry.
you
Yeah.
45 seconds. I'm just.
Oh, okay.
It is not Sting. Dan.
I know this one because I've seen this movie.
There you go.
It's Goldberg.
It is Goldberg.
Yeah, it does help to see the movie.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
This is the first one that I've actually seen.
Yeah. So the Big Show. The other two movies were MacGruber and The Waterboy.
Oh, for the Big Show.
Yeah, and Goldberg. The next one was Universal Soldier: The Return and Santa's Sleigh.
Yeah, I would have gotten it on the second one.
I haven't seen either of those two movies, but I have seen.
I haven't seen Universal Soldier, but they make fun of him for that movie, and it's always brought up when talking about Goldberg's career, at least amongst the people I talk to about wrestling.
All right, next one. Dan, you go first.
All righty.
And the first one is The Punisher from 2004.
Oh, Kevin Nash.
That's right.
Yes, I love that scene. It's just like the big Russian dude who doesn't speak. Sorry, Mark.
Yeah. Can I take a stab at the next two movies just to see if I get one of them?
Yeah.
I'm sure you put the Turtles in there for Kevin Nash, right?
Nope.
No? Oh.
Nope.
I thought that was going to be like the giveaway to Dan or something.
The Super Shredder.
Yeah. And Magic Mike, right?
Magic Mike was the giveaway.
Yeah.
The second movie was Grandma's Boy.
Oh, I
didn't know. I've seen that, and I don't remember him being in it.
There you go. All right. Dan takes a 3-point lead. Now, Mark, your chance to tie it up.
Tie it up.
Come on, Mark. You got this.
Your first one is Spy Hard. Leslie Nielsen, Leslie Nielsen film.
Yeah. God, these first ones are hard. Like, I'm gonna say was this like an early Rock movie? No,
it is not The Rock. I like that. I like that guess though.
Yeah.
All right.
This is a '90s movie, Spy Hard, right?
Yep. And
So
Dan, do you have a guess?
Who was big in the '90s? All right. Not Bret Hart. God damn it! All right, I'm gonna take a page from Mark's book, Sting.
It is not Sting.
Ooh,
okay.
All right.
Does it make sense for Mark to get the first crack again, and then we just switch it up on the next wrestler?
Mark could take another.
I'm just trying to figure it out because this is the first time we're playing this game.
Yeah, I like this game.
Yeah. So all right. So who guessed first? Mark did, right?
Mark did. Yeah.
So then I would guess next after if he gets it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
All right. Mark, second one is Muppets from Space.
Oh,
I know it.
This isn't good. Is it Vader?
It is not Vader.
That's a good guess too, Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know who it is though, unfortunately.
All right, Dan, what do you got?
It's Hulkamania, brother.
It is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah,
I didn't want any of them to be Hogan, to be honest.
And the giveaway answer was Gremlins 2: The New Batch.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Not no holds barred.
Not no holds barred. All right, Dan. Next one for you.
Okay.
Fred the movie. I believe this is a Disney Channel connection to it.
I think it's also some stupid YouTube thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. The Rock.
It is not The Rock.
No clue. Haven't seen this movie.
Mark.
Is it dumbly like CM Punk or something?
It is not CM Punk.
Okay.
All right, Dan. Next guest, Ferdinand.
Oh, John Cena.
It is John Cena.
Yeah. I haven't seen Ferdinand, but I remember him being the voice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if like that movie just kind of completely came out of everybody's heads at some point and like no one remembered it.
It's not a very well-known movie.
There's not a whole lot of obscure John Cena movies. The giveaway one was Sisters, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mark.
Yes.
Yours is Long Shot.
Probably wrong, but I feel he's done enough movies to be in this. Is it The Miz?
It is not The Miz. Dan, do you have a guess?
Scott Hall?
It's not Scott Hall. All right. Next one. Gem and the Holograms. Mark.
I feel like this would probably be a very specific wrestler. Gem and the Holograms. It's a new one, so it's a little more recent. Who's good? God.
5 seconds.
Hey, these are tough.
Yeah. I don't know. Brock Lesnar. God, I don't know.
It is not Brock Lesnar.
Oh, man, I was hoping you get it because
I feel like this is a very specific wrestler. Obviously, it is a specific person from like the type of movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gem and Hologram should have been the giveaway.
All right, Dan, you got a guess?
Jesus Christ, The Rock.
It is The Rock.
Get out of here.
It is The Rock.
Jeez Louise. I figured we'd have to come across a Rock movie.
Yeah.
I guessed it was either that or I was gonna pick Bret Hart. I don't think Bret Hart's been in any fucking movies. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been in, what was it? The Cowboy Show.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Lonesome Dove or something like that.
I don't know.
Sounds sexy.
This sounds familiar, but I don't know what show it was. All right. Dan goes first with this one. All right, Dan.
Mm-mm.
The Man with the Iron Fists.
Okay. That's a martial arts movie, I think. So I'm gonna say Ken Shamrock.
It is not Ken Shamrock.
All right.
Mark, to you.
Is this The Undertaker?
It is not The Undertaker. All right, next one. Scorpion King 3 Battle for Redemption.
They made another one of those?
They made two more, apparently.
Apparently, they made two.
Oh my god. So we already got The Rock, so it's not The Rock. And who was Edge?
It is not Edge.
That's a good guess.
We've covered Edge.
Yeah.
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 Mark.
Yeah, so for see, Man with the Iron Fist is throwing off the one I was going to guess. I don't think he'd be in that movie. Scorpion King 3 would have done something stupid like that. It's not Randy Orton, is it?
It is not Randy Orton. All right, last one for this wrestler. And the answer is Stuber.
Oh, boo. I hated that movie so bad. Dave Bautista.
It was Dave Bautista.
And that upsets me because I still think Bautista is the best wrestler turned actor.
Mm-hmm.
That movie was dog shit.
That was another movie. I was like, oh yeah, that movie happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw that because I had A-list, and that's the only reason I saw it.
Yeah. It's funny. In my head, it was screaming something like for Scorpion King 3. I'm like, who would do something that cheesy? And I was like, it's The Miz, but I was like, but The Miz wouldn't be in The Man with the Iron Fist.
I don't know a lot of these guys. I don't know who The Miz is.
I'm guessing you weren't a real world guy, real world.
I guess not.
Okay.
All right, Mark. This is
last one. Dan won, but let's just do it.
Yeah, keep going, man. Yeah.
This is the last one on the list, anyway.
Yeah.
So first one is Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania.
Sting.
It's not Sting.
Damn it.
How is it not Sting?
There are no. I have to look up Sting's filmography, I guess.
Steve
Surfer
Gordon.
Sting.
So that was all I was going with.
Oh, that's a good guess. Triple H.
It's not a bad guess.
It is
Triple H.
Get the fuck out of here.
Triple H. The other two were The Chaperone and Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I didn't know. I honestly only thought he was in Blade Trinity.
I knew he was. I saw The Chaperone. I think that was on the same week that I saw Knucklehead.
Yeah.
I swear to God, just guessing.
I have to ask why you guys kept guessing Sting. He does not have a very long history in Hollywood.
I was trying to think of a guy that was like semi big, but not like huge. That could have made some some movies as just like a background character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know like how much in the movie they were of these movies. I think it's where some of my guesses were coming from.
Sure.
I
don't know how much some of these guys are in some of these movies.
I was guessing Sting because Mark brought Sting to my attention,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be the one who didn't guess Sting.
Yeah. And I don't know why I kept guessing the Undertaker movie, maybe. And one of them is just as a bounty hunter in Suburban Commando or one of those Hogan
Yeah,
movies?
that's Suburban Commando.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's our game. That's 3 movies. So I could pick CM Punk. He's in a couple of movies.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Jacob's Ladder is probably the most recent one.
Jacob's wife.
Jacob's wife, sorry.
Girl on the Third Floor, Rabid.
And he's in that Heels TV show.
Oh, because he keeps pissing off everybody that he wrestles with. It's a Malcolm.
Yeah, he pissed off and got in a fight with people that are just as petty as he is. Yeah. And that's why.
All right. Well, that's our game. That's our episode.
That's pretty fun.
Thank you guys for playing along. 3 movies.
And we apologize if you were screaming at your whatever you were listening to this podcast on with some of these people.
Yeah, especially when we got to movies like Fred the Movie. I'm sure there was Gen Z people that were like freaking out.
How do they not know Fred the Movie? It's an icon. He's an icon. That's cinema, baby.
All right, that's going to wrap us up this week. Check us out on all our socials. Tic Tam Pod on Instagram, Twitter. They Call This a Movie on TikTok. And if you want to give us a 5-star review on your podcatcher of choice, it helps out a great deal. So do that, please. The director of Abraxas, Guardian of the Universe, is Damian Lee. So, for Dan Aquino and Mark Myers, this is Anthony Davecchio telling Damian Lee, well, you certainly made a movie, didn't you? Thanks for listening to They Called Us a Movie. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram at TicTamPod. That's TCTAM Pod. You can also check us out on TikTok at They Called Us a Movie.